What is up, lunch crew? What's going on? I am halfway through my last work day of the week. And then I get to hang out with a bunch of super fit Masters athletes the rest of the week. So freaking pumped. Oh my gosh, we got John George, we got Helson, we've got Vicky in the chat already. I'm going to throw a quick dart. It's probably useless or futile. Maybe I'm just too old to throw a dart these days. A lot better than it's been, but still not good enough. We got Jody, we got Meredith. What is going on, Amanda? Yeah, good to see you guys. Nice thumbnail. What is that about? I was thinking 7K run this week for the Masters athletes. So I just had AI make a cartoon of all that kind of stuff. So yeah. This is my last work day of the week. Thank God. Every Tuesday I have a meeting that never, ever, ever stays within the time frame it's scheduled for. Oh, I hate that. And it's almost like they try to make up topics to go to the whole end of the meeting. Just let us go. Come on, man. Anyway, here we are. We got Arlene Smith. That's a new name. AZ Zaki, Arlene Smith. Jody Lynn. Oh yeah, that's a good representation of the 7K. Although laying flat on the ground would be me. Yeah, probably me too. Although back before I hurt my back and I lost all the weight, I did a quarter marathon, which is a 10K, a little more than a 10K. That's the most I've ever run. I could not walk for 2 days. I was just wrecked. And I swore I was never, ever going to do that much again. It was 6.5 miles, maybe. I don't know, but it was a lot. Oh my gosh, there's my old partner, Catch here in the house. What's going on? So yesterday, Bob Jennings shows up on the Get With the Programming podcast. And one of the funniest things ever is John George was in the chat and he was letting Bob know exactly how he felt about the programming. And I get a text from Jamie and Carolyn and they're going, John George is all of us. And I thought, he is so representing all of the Masters athletes and their feelings as to where this programming is going and the explanations he is being given, and he's not accepting any of it. And it was freaking hilarious that they sent that text in while that was going on. John was keeping us very, very entertained in the chat during that whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Corey says he never got to watch that show. It was not good, man. I don't think any of the explanations even made sense. John George, no one would speak up. The guy is a horrible programmer. Love you guys. You're my peeps. And a laughy face. Helson expected more from that show. I mean, the little bits I was throwing in, they weren't even addressing anyway. Like the lift is all the athletes in the heat lifting at the same time with then a long rest for everybody. And when asked why not doing it more staggered, the answer was it was too complicated to do and they didn't want to confuse people. Well, that would be the least complicated thing in the programming. Some of their workouts don't even make sense until they're explained a little bit more. And I don't even think they make more sense then. I mean, staggering the lift on a floor is just a math equation. How many athletes do you need to go at the same time, divided by how much time you have? And then you have like 2 athletes go at the same time or 3 athletes go, and then you rotate through the minutes and everybody has the same time. It ain't complicated. But there's way more wrong with that programming, and everybody's speaking up. Hiller had his piece yesterday. John George spoke for all Masters athletes yesterday in the Get With the Programming. I was really disappointed with how that show went, because it almost seemed like the guys on the show were encouraging him to even become more biased. It just, I mean, he talks about that he programs against his biases. There's no Carolyn keeps saying this. There's no high skill gymnastics or no gymnastics volume before the cut. So you're cutting people without ever testing a gymnastics piece. And so he is biased towards the strength. That's the type of athlete he was. That is the type of programmer he is. I've heard him admit it over and over again that he loves it heavy. And every piece of lifting in every workout is pushing the envelope of what is heavy and what is not. And for Bill Grundler to say, these people are at the games, they need to be pushed. Well, my argument is they need to be pushed on the gymnastic skills as well. You can't push one without the other. It has to have balance. And it is obvious that this programming does not have balance. It is ridiculous that they take out the high skill gymnastics because they're afraid people will be standing around looking at a handstand push-up or a handstand walk, when there are going to be people standing around looking at a barbell because you've programmed it too heavy. What's the difference? Why is one acceptable and the other one is not? And last I checked, you program for the best and you scale for the rest. And if you got to the CrossFit Games and you can't do one of these gymnastics moves, that's on you. And that's how you should be. And you should have to stand and stare at an apparatus or stare at what the next movement is if you did not build yourself up for that. Again, encouraging the pushing of the envelope on the weights is fine if you're going to push the envelope on the gymnastics, and that you are not doing. It was a PR show. He is paying chase. Let's be honest. He called handstand walks a party trick. Are you kidding me? Wonder how Dave felt about that comment. I know the Games has had handstand walks every year for at least the last 10 years. Trying to go through them all in my head really fast. I mean, handstand walk's been a major part of the CrossFit Games. So to say that that's a party trick, man, if you're I know my friend Denise Moore has been working on handstand walks at age 67-ish. I think she is. And the fact that she has worked on them and got them should be rewarded at the CrossFit Games, not hidden because 3 of the other people in that division didn't work on it. Are you kidding me? As an aspiring Masters Games athlete, the majority of us want the skill work. I can do the vast majority of them. So like the mindset of that just boggles me. Like I get you want to push the athletes, but push them in a balanced way, not just in weights, in every aspect of the programming. But I'm going to jump off of that for now, and I'm going to talk about Dave's Week in Review, because I'm going to be down there all weekend and hopefully doing the lunch show live from the Age Group CrossFit Games. And I'll give you updates of what I see on the floor, etc. But in Dave's Week in Review, there's a lot of talk about bringing back the festival atmosphere of the CrossFit Games and bringing the age groups back to the CrossFit Games, maybe in the same city, but like earlier in the week. And I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And I think this is where Matt Souza, and I know it's on the thumbnail, is Matt Souza a genius? He made a proposal back in June that I don't think got enough recognition. And that is, if you're going to buy CrossFit, you need to create a new CrossFit headquarters. And I'm going to share the AI drawing he had done. And this is what he would want for CrossFit HQ. And if you notice, it's got some buildings, but it also has workout areas. It has an outdoor stadium, and it has like a little mini stadium with a rig over here. And he says, this is the CrossFit Mecca. Wouldn't make it exactly look like this, but you get the idea. Create a physical location, a destination, CrossFit HQ with an affiliate campus to run classes, host seminars, a media studio with multiple podcast show sets, and host the CrossFit Games there. And what I think is cool about this is, instead of moving it around from year to year with all the expense of what they talk about, like why they can't go to Madison anymore, is they have to construct that outdoor stadium. And they have, in the arena, they have to do some extra stuff. And that's a lot of money. Well, why not build it once in an HQ location and keep it there year after year after year? And that way you're not constructing it every year. Yes, it's an initial expense, but you could also rent it out for other events. You could partner with other events. And the way this looks, you could almost find like an old abandoned high school and renovate it, or something like that. And just kind of do that somewhere in the middle of the country. And the fact that you could have like seminars there, you could do demonstrations there, and all these kinds of things, I think makes sense if you want both the methodology to grow and the sport to grow at the same time. It minimizes your costs because you have it in one location. The setup for every year becomes much easier, much less expensive. Yes, it is a pricey initial investment, unless you can find like that old abandoned high school to do something like this. And then the only thing I would add to this drawing is a place to have an RV camp, so that people can come camp for the big events. People can come hang out, and you can hold so many more events throughout the year. And not only on the sports side, but from a seminar side, things like that. I think it is the one way that you could really make the whole thing more economical, Yes, big initial investment, but after you build it, then the expenses become less and less and less. um duh, 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 duh. A lot of that would be cool, but pricey from Meredith. Uh he had a great idea. Agree with this 200%. Such a great idea. Um This would mean that the new buyers are committing for the long haul. It would pay for itself. They could have rogue retail outlet store, put it in a bigger city, centrally located. So many things they could do to generate revenue. If you build it, they will come. I was going to say parking. Well, parking RV lot could be the same thing. It could be parking for some parts of the year, and it could be an RV park for other parts. George Wang, you'd have to rent that out for non-CrossFit events to make it financially feasible. I don't disagree, and I think that they should. Take over a zombie mall, use the anchors for events, and the concourse for the sponsor locations. That's an idea too. Yeah, there's a lot of real estate out there that is abandoned that maybe they could grab. I mean, just looking at the football type stadium and like the tennis court type stadium, I'm sure there are some high schools that have closed that are available to have at least that aspect of it already in place. George Wank says, put in some pickleball courts, it would be 100% utilized. Well, Meredith, I think we need a buyer with a vision anyway, and I don't know where we're going to get that or where it would come from, but geez, yes, we need vision. All right, so I love Matt Souza has some great ideas. This is one that I just truly adore. Um, and hope that someone would have the foresight to do something like this. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. A couple other things that Dave was talking about in his week in review that I thought was interesting was the not CrossFit Games, having athletes come in and do things that aren't to find the fittest on earth, but just to challenge them athletically. And that could be another event that you could hold. He's thinking at the ranch, but at a CrossFit HQ like this, you could have those types of events all the time. All the time. Of course, Ed AI would be jazzed if this were real. I would be beyond jazzed if CrossFit HQ had this type of forethought. But I thought that the not CrossFit Games was a cool idea. It's like taking I think he started with max box jump height, and then he thought, well, we could do softball throw or javelin throw, or like you could do NFL combine stuff, 40-yard dash, and you could have all this fun stuff. And almost like if you're old like me, like a Battle of the Network Stars or the Superstars events, where the Superstars is probably the best, where they would bring in athletes from different sports, have them do different things athletically, and then see who was the best at this combination. And it's also a way to bring in someone from the like football world or someone from the baseball world and see how do you compete with these CrossFitters. I think that would be fun. You could do a lot of interesting things with that concept. And I think that's one of Dave's best ideas. I think that's a good way to promote the sport. Do a little crossover with some other sports and show where CrossFitters stack up against football players, against baseball players, against wrestlers. Vicky said the show, The Challenge, did an all-star show like that. It was interesting to see pro athletes in a different environment. I've watched The Challenge a lot. I have not seen the pro athlete one. I'll have to go look for that. Corey says pros versus Joes. Well, kind of, except you don't have Joes. You have the pro athletes and you have CrossFitters. Like, I'm saying like Jason Hopper, like James Sprague, like Tia Claire Toomey, those types of athletes competing against other people in other sports, like Ronda Rousey, or I'm just throwing out names. I'm old and I don't know everybody, but you'd have to have Mr. Bajent be the MC. He'd crush it. John, we're there. Same wavelength, buddy. Same wavelength right there. Yep. Like Tyson Bajent. Yes. Bring in an NFL quarterback and have him go head to head in some stuff that's not typical to the CrossFit Games and just go kind of head to head. Now, Dildo, that's not Colton Mertens versus LeBron in a dunk contest. If you remember the old Superstars, which some of you probably aren't old enough to, you weren't allowed to compete in any event that was based on your main sport. You could only, so they had like 10 events. You had to sign up for like 7, and you were not allowed to sign up for any event that was around your main skill set. Okay, fine. You can have Travis Kelce. Okay. Still not a fair competition with poor Colton. Travis was the MC back in the day. I know, and he's awesome at it. So awesome at it. Because you'd want someone that was talking smack while they were doing it. Like, it needs to be that full entertainment of like these pro athletes versus these CrossFitters and like calling them out when something's not going well. It has to be someone like him. Or have the NFL Combine within the games. It would give context to how fit the athletes are when compared to athletes the masses watch. So I think that's the concept, but Dave wants to make it a separate event and not like in the CrossFit Games. If we go to this like CrossFit HQ, where you have this big facility and you can have these things all year round, that would be freaking awesome. I think Dave's view at this point is, let's bring them out to the ranch and let's do these things and test them like this. So George Wang says a few years ago, Randy Moss used to run CrossFit type classes here in Charlotte. That's pretty freaking cool. I can hear Travis telling some poor soul struggling to do Fran, not so easy now, is it? Yep. How do you think egos would do if Tia beats males? I think this has been, I don't think Tia beats a whole lot of males. But unless it's a running body weight type competition, I want to see games athletes dive off a 10-meter platform. Ugh. I did that once in my life, Doug. Once. It was horrible. I could not believe how long you are free falling from a 10-meter platform. It is much, much longer than you think it is. But I think it's a great idea. Great idea. Yeah. So other than that, like the week in review was pretty non-newsworthy, but I did think that was some interesting stuff. It was really a lot about the festival vibes, bringing that back. I think there is a big demand for that. But I do agree that a lot of that is expensive in the way they're doing it currently. They would have to do that. They would have to find a way, like what Matt Souza suggests, having a facility to kind of just do it yearly. So I don't know. Jason Hopper would hit the water like a bag of wet cement. Man, it is. If you've never done it off a 10-meter I just jumped. I did not dive. If you have ever jumped off a 10-meter platform, you got to do it one time. You will not believe how long you are free falling till you hit water. It is way longer than I thought it would be. At least it felt that way. It may have only been a couple seconds, but in my mind, it felt like a long time. And I did it incrementally. I went to 5 meter, I went to 7.5 meter, and then I went to 10 meter. It's crazy. Jess says, Cannonball. Yeah. You better have those bubblers in the water that break the surface. Yeah. There's actually a girl on TikTok, Reels, whatever. She does like super high stuff, like 30 meter. What she does is flipping amazing. She's Canadian. And a lot of, if they're indoor, they're like hanging from the ceiling of these massive events, venues. I think it may not be 30 meters, but it's way up there. It's way higher than 10. And every time you get the camera angle from up there, I want to just vomit. Denise wants to know who the hell invented the 10-meter diving board and why. Well, there's no diving board. You're just going off of a platform. It is a static piece of metal, and it does not move. I want to see Ricky Mack do a gainer off the high dive. Hopper versus Colton Cannonball contest. Ed AI wants to know if someone's afraid of heights, Denise. Watched Dodd's video with my son a few weeks ago. Absolutely no way I could do that. I don't know who Dodd is. Dildo, I've jumped off a 35 to 40 foot cliff in Somersville, West Virginia. It's a bit unnerving. I can't even, the people that jump off cliffs, because then you got to clear it. You got to clear the rock and then get to the water. Dodds is a new diving sport. I'll have to check that out. Denise is not only afraid of heights, but also deep water. Yeah, diving is not her thing. Jay Birch wants to know if there's a best transport in Columbus. I'm an Uber guy, Uber or Lyft, whatever's cheaper. I have both apps. I pull them both up and see whichever one is cheaper at the moment. It's if you're flying in, it's not very far from the airport to the venue. And your hotel is on campus, so not much further than that. Shouldn't be too hefty of a Uber Lyft cost for you. But yeah, plenty of Ubers and Lyfts at the airport. Oh, Dodds means death diving. Good to know. Good to know. Wow. Mark Phillips did the same search. Yeah, nope for me. Yeah, I'm out. That's crazy. So yeah. So everybody's getting into town. I'm getting DMs from athletes asking for recommendations. Now Jay Birch is on here getting some recommendations. It's getting fun. It's getting real. Can't wait to see everybody. And I really debated doing this next thing, but this is hopefully the last time I need to address this. But yesterday, I think on one of the more recent dense updates, Jenny had asked Lauren Khalil in a Lauren Khalil show about me calling her out. And she gave a response that I need to address briefly. And I'm not going to belabor the point. I want this to be over. So I'm going to play the clip and then I want you guys, I just want to respond really quickly.
Khalil was live on her YouTube channel the other day, and I asked her how she felt about Clydesdale Media's Scott Schweitzer basically calling her out and saying, hey, in the past, you've been really mean to the females on my media team. You've been a bit of a bully. And she addresses it.
I mean, I messaged Scott directly about that just to gain some clarity and ask him about it. And him and I had a conversation back and forth. And I'm never going to accuse somebody of like lying because their experience is their experience. I know the things that I'm being accused of saying, even on my worst day, are not in character of what I would ever say to anybody, even on my worst day. So it came from somewhere. So I really don't know where the lines cross.
I do got to.
So with that, saying that I don't want to accuse anybody of being a liar, but everybody's experience is their experience. I told you guys when this first came out, attack my family and I get pissed. So saying that Cheryl and Jamie lied to me really pissed me off. Because once they told me this stuff, I went out onto the floor at the next event and saw some of the same stuff with my own eyes. I also want to point out that in the initial video that Hiller put out, he said that other female people in the space told him the same thing. He just didn't want to release their names because they were valuable resources and sources and didn't want to expose them or lose them as a source. So this is not just me saying this. There are other people out there saying the same thing. And don't call my people a liar. She did reach out to me, and I will say that our conversation was very similar to how she talked right here. And at the end of the day, it was just left as it was. But I want this, I don't care about her access anymore. I don't care what CrossFit decides to do with those things. I just want me and my team to be able to do what we want to do. That is what I am worried about. But don't call my people liars. Don't. So anyway, and she said, like, what I'm accused of saying or is not typical of my character. What she said wasn't like, that doesn't even make sense to what I said. She said, like, I get first dibs on, interviews because I'm with the broadcast team. How is that out of character to say that? It doesn't even make freaking sense to me. Man, I've known Jamie now for a handful a couple years now. I mean, there's nobody more trustworthy than she is. And Cheryl's never lied to me. Like, so I don't get it. Jamie's character is unquestionable. She has no reason to lie about anything. I agree. Fergie starting a CrossFit rideshare called Lyft, which features backlist videos of behind the scenes. That's nice. You trusted but verified what was going on. Exactly. I did. John George, agree to disagree. She is on a sinking ship. Let her sink on her own. You guys are like George Jefferson, moving on up. Yeah, I really did debate it, John, even bringing it up. But like, I just am tired of people calling my people liars. They work very, very hard. You know, we do this basically out of the goodness of our heart. We don't get paid. We're not sponsored. We're out there struggling to just do the best we can because we love it. We just love being out there. And I just want Jamie to be recognized, especially Jamie. She's still with me today. And Carolyn, for all the hard work they put in. I just want them recognized for all that they do all the time and all year long. And that they're not just some fangirl out there trying to get an interview. They're actually trying to do something constructive and a good quality to be able to put out some content from my channel. And I love them for that. They're awesome at it. And can't wait to see where we go in the future. Scott, you did the right thing. Too many in the CrossFit space have received a pass for crap behavior. Yeah, Doug, there's so much in my head that I've never ever said out loud to anybody. The only reason this came out is because I made an offhanded comment when we got enhanced access and she didn't, and I said karma has come around, and that's the only way it even got out there. Because it was obvious who it was. I didn't say her name, but it broke out there and went crazy. But yeah, there are people that are rude, but there's so many good people in this space that are fun to hang out with, that do their job well, that let you do your job well, and let the chips fall where they may. Ed AI, I liked when you had Allison on. Her insights on the workouts were cool to hear. Oh, Scuds. Yeah. I've been friends with Scuds for a long time. Yeah, maybe we'll have her on more often, or she can be a fill-in for Jamie and Carolyn to give them a week off. Maybe something like that. That would be fun. Well, guys, with that, I got to go finish the last half of my workday, and then it will be all masters all week, live from the age group. Well, I say masters. Could be some teen stuff too. I just don't know them as well as I know the masters group. So we'll see what happens when we get down there. I'm going to try to do the shows live from the venue I have some mics, I have some headphones, and I have my iPad. So we'll be able to do that. And then I'm going to have Corey on tomorrow. So we'll see what we talk about then. And check in for Jamie and Carolyn is at like 10 and 10:10 in the morning, 10:20, something like that. So I'll try to head over and be there for that and get some stuff of them getting their uniforms, getting their check-in stuff, all that kind of stuff. So that's the plan for tomorrow. Can't wait to see you guys all then. Have a good Wi-Fi signal, please. I actually have 5G on my iPad, so I don't need a Wi-Fi if they don't have it. And if I have to, I'll go outside the venue and do it from the street, maybe, or so. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Or find a quiet place if I can. With that, guys, time for me to get back to work. It's time for you knuckleheads to get back to work. And we'll see you live from the Columbus Convention Center tomorrow. Bye, guys.